Hola estudiantes! Welcome to our first mandatos video. We're going to be talking about affirmative to commands today. And I have this wonderful picture of el gato que dice, ven aquí, no te tengo miedo. Es un gato muy valiente, ¿no? You should have a sheet that looks exactly like this. Today we are only going to be filling out the column for the tu affirmativo. We are talking today only about the affirmative to commands, which means that you are commanding somebody you are familiar with, your friends, your family, and you're commanding them to do something. So not in the future we're going to talk about don't do this and don't do that, but today we're going to be positive and we're just going to say do this, do this. The great news is there's only one step for conjugating these commands. Step 1, conjugate to the third person singular in the present tense. So you're going to conjugate any verb to the él or ella form, and that's going to be your mandato. So those are going to be our commands. If you want to tell somebody to eat, come. If you want to tell somebody to dance, baila. It's almost as easy as that, but of course we have to have our irregulars. The great news is there's only 8. There's 8 irregular commands total. So once you know these 8, it's going to be pretty easy. And you have to memorize them because they're very irregular. So for tener, we have ten. Poner, we have pon. Venir, we have ven. Salir, sal. Hacer is haz. Decir, di. Ser is say. And ver, oh, not ver. Ir is ve. And the funny thing is, ver is also. Every time we have irregulars, we're going to have a fun song to go along with it. So this time our song goes to the melodia de Twinkle Twinkle. Hopefully you all know that melody, and here are our 8 irregular verbs. Ten, pon, ven, sol, as, dice. Last but not least is our friend ve. Tener, poner, venir, solir, hacer, decir, ser, and ir. Ten, pon, ven, sol, as, dice. Last but not least is our friend ve. I know you're hoping and wishing that you have a copy of this song to study. Flip your sheet over. It's right there for you. Practice it. I know it looks silly when you're singing this on a test, but it really helps. And I love the fact that this song not only has the irregulars, but it also has. The only tricky thing we have about our two commands is that we need to make sure that when we have reflexive, indirect, or direct object pronouns, that we are going to put those pronouns in the right spot. The rule is that for an affirmative command, and all that means is when you're telling somebody to do something, it has to go after and attached. And if you notice, they all start with an A. Affirmative is after and attached. Look at the example. It says levantarse. You take levantar, conjugate it to the L form, becomes levanta. The se, because we're doing a to command, goes to the te, and you just attach it onto the end. Levántate. You might be thinking, what the heck? All of a sudden an accent appeared. The rule here is this. Once you've added another syllable, you're going to have to try and keep the emphasis where it was by putting an accent mark. So what we did there is, the rule is put it on the second to the last, penultimate, my favorite word. You're going to put it on the second to last syllable of the original verb, unless there were not 2. So if you notice our example, ponerse becomes ponte, but you don't have to have an accent there because it was only 1 syllable to begin with, and the stress still goes on the same spot. Callarse, however, cállate, needs to keep an accent mark on the first A to keep the stress where it should be. And the cool thing once you're ready for all of this is if I wanted to say put them on like your shoes, pontelos, then I would need an accent because now I've added extra syllables. So I'm trying not to confuse you too much, but just know that if you're adding extra syllables, add an accent to keep the sound where it should be. Okay, practicamos un poquito. This is a perfect time to stop the video, go through and try and fill in this sheet as much as you can, and make sure afterwards that you are doing it correctly when we go over the answers. Make sure you're paying attention to the fact that 3 of them are reflexive, and add those reflexive pronouns to the end. Okay, here we go. Escuchar, escucha. Escucha siempre a tu maestra. Remember, ir is our friend ve, and we attach the te to the end, so we end up having vete. Vete, go away. Juega al voleibol. Even if there's a stem change in the present tense, you have to make sure that that stem change comes through into commands. Poner también es irregular y es pon, and the se becomes te. Ponte los zapatos, por favor. Lee los libros en español. Ve a la playa. Baila conmigo. Come tus verduras. Vive en Colorado. Lávate las manos después de comer y antes de comer. Dona dinero a tu maestra de español. Y empieza la tarea, por favor. Hopefully you got them all right. If you have questions, feel free to bring those to class mañana. I'm going to end today with a nice inspirational poster. Mantén la calma y estudia español. World would be a better place if we all estudia español.